Thank you to everyone for joining us. It is indeed a great honor to welcome the alternate Prime Minister of the State of Israel, Yair Lapid, who is also the Foreign Minister, to the Jewish Federation of North America's General Assembly. Just days after we had the honor of welcoming Prime Minister Bennett to our reception for him in New York, Minister Lapid, you are no stranger to federations or even to the GA, but we are thrilled that you can speak today with Jewish leaders from across North America in what is your first major meeting as alternate prime minister with the wider Jewish community. Welcome.
Thank you, Mark. So good to see you again, my friend, and it's so good to be with everybody here. Uh, let's go on. Let's start.
Okay, great. Minister, you've just returned from a trip to Bahrain to open Israel's new embassy there, a direct result of the historic signing of the Abraham Accords a little over a year ago. What are some concrete ways that this new geopolitical reality is taking shape? And are you hopeful that Israel will normalize relations with additional countries anytime soon?
Well, this is, of course, the result of the effort of so many people. And what we are doing now is just making this into a tangible thing. I mean, this is moving, as I was telling my friends in Bahrain, this is moving from a written agreement to a real peace and from handshakes to friendship. And also it has to do with signing tangible agreements of water and agriculture and technology, all those things that make this into an ongoing life-making project. So, and now we of course aspire to spread this, to expand this into other countries as well. As it was before, I wouldn't name names because this will harm the process. But of course, we're working with the United States and with our new friends in the Emirates, in Bahrain, in Morocco, in all those countries. These are only three countries I've opened embassies or offices in the last month and a half in order to expand this to other countries. It is, by all means, this doesn't mean we are neglecting forever and ever the Palestinian issue that we have also to work on. Of course, we will always have to keep an open eye both on Gaza and on Hezbollah up north. But this is basically an optimistic process. This is a moment in our history that is the cause of a lot of new great things. It initiates great process in the region and outside the region, and we are hopeful that we can expand this to other countries as well.
Thank you for that. Minister, members of the new government have made numerous positive mentions about strengthening the relationship between Israel and global Jewry. How do you think our two communities can move closer together? Will your government act on some of the issues that have divided us, like perhaps implementing the Kotel Agreement? And most importantly, what can we do to foster greater unity?
Well, first of all, we have to do what we're doing now, which is reinitiating the kind of dialogue we have within the family, and it is the family. I was a bit shocked to hear senior people, officials from the former government discussing other communities within the United States as the main relations of the Israeli government. This cannot happen. I mean, the most important relation we have is with the American Jewry, and because it is us. Because, Mark, little shift of history, you could be me and I could be you. We are part of the same thing. And indeed, we have to work on several issues that were neglected for a long time, like the Kotel framework, like the conversion bill, that we're working on now. And I think we are. It might take some time in a very complicated coalition, but we are. I am myself. I'm totally. On this almost on daily basis, making sure this is happening, and we're going to work on this as not only as a token for our goodwill towards our brothers and sisters across the ocean, but also because I think it is important for Israel to be this kind of a tolerant, welcoming country to our friends and family abroad. So yes, we're going to work on all these issues. We're going to make this happen, and yes, we're going to expand and deepen this dialogue because it is so important to us.
Well, Minister, that is so appreciated. And we, all of us listening, commit to working together with you and the government on this very important relationship. Finally, you've been in this new government for around 4 months now. Can I ask, have there been surprises? Do you see things differently from where you now sit? And have your priorities changed?
Well, yes and no. I mean, priorities did not change because my priorities is my world view, and this doesn't change. I went into politics in order to try and implement the way I look at the country's future and my children's future, which is the same. If there's one thing that really surprised me is how fake is the division among us. I mean, it was already in this four election within 1 year, in the kind of discourse, national discourse we had, the toxicity that we had within Knesset. And you know what? Sometimes even in the dialogue we had with the American jury, it felt like we went one bridge too far in terms of closing those gaps. And it turned out that unlike what social media sometimes tell you or the press sometimes tell you, and you know what, sometimes even people are telling you from the podium in Knesset, it is so doable to work together for the good of our children, for the future of this country, for the future of the Jewish people. If you are, it's a values-based dialogue with people who sometimes differ with me, but has the same goal. I mean, we have come very quickly to the understanding that disagreement is not a way to kill each other. A disagreement is a way to have a dialogue, to have better results. And this is what we're doing. It is a complicated coalition, 8 parties, all the way from Mansour Abbas and an Islamic party to Yamina and Bennett and Shaked and people with very different worldviews. And yet we have surprisingly, it was surprisingly easy to develop the tools for an ongoing dialogue for the good of the country, for the good of the people, for the good of the process in a way. So I thought it's going to take so much more of my time and efforts, and fortunately enough and gladly enough, I can spend more time in the foreign ministry doing my job, because the things we felt might be a killer are being solved. We're closing the door, we discuss these things honestly, and we're solving the problems that everybody felt that are unsolvable. So I'm happy with the way things are going. My main surprise, it is easier than I thought it will be to have an open, positive, optimistic dialogue between people who are so different from each other.
Well, that's good to hear. Thank you for that. And Minister Lapid, I'd like to thank you so much for your time today. There are few greater honors for our audience than to be addressed by one of the most senior leaders of the Jewish state. We're indeed thrilled that you've joined us virtually at this GA. And Jewish Federations wish you the very best of luck in the new government. And you should know that we here in the largest Jewish community in the world support the government and the state of Israel always and without reservation. And we look forward to welcome you in person to the next GA in Chicago in 2022. Thank you.
Well, always like to win the city, would love to.